We got a request from a woman from the hospital area for to turn that area into permanent parking. I put it included in here because she obviously asked you all to review it, but I did talk to Jim Chief, and he was not for it at all.
It was permit parking for a long time, I think, wasn't it?
I know my street was, and shortly after we moved in, they took all the signs.
Yeah, his issue is, for enforcement and a whole bunch of things. I don't know what the answer is to make her happy, but I do think that it makes it more of a burden on the city to try to enforce this.
There's a couple things, Rick. She does have a driveway. I went down to the ride past it.
Yeah.
There is a driveway there.
Are they blocking her driveway?
If they do, then you call the police.
Right.
She claims that at one point, and I would agree, you would just call the police.
Well, she has 3 vehicles, and I think that's part of the problem. And that's her choice.
Right.
Alley behind her.
Yes. Yeah, there's
As far as these bushes blocking the signs and things, I know that we can take care of that. She said about the fact that parking is free, there's no signs. Wouldn't that be up to the hospital?
Yeah. Yeah. And she says here that the lower portion of 2nd Avenue, as well as the areas around the corner still already have permanent parking signs in place.
I'm not sure what to say.
I don't agree.
I think of that TV show.
I just bring it up to council, so if there's, if you want to pursue it a little further, I will, but, it'd be difficult to put permanent parking everywhere where people would like it.
Right, I agree. Okay.
All right, next on the hit parade is the new banners for the city. Now, our old banners got more out. So I've got 6 possibilities. We would buy a maximum of 50 and they're $75 a piece. Now, I think the Rogers McFeely Foundation is going to buy the Mr. Rogers signs. And you'll see there's no banana split signs there because they're buying those, the committee, the banana split committee.
Okay.
So really there's 5, if you'd like to choose from them, then we could do all 5 or we could do, any variation therein. I kind of like that for the guys because it would be nice to put them, once the flags come down, put the new banners up.
My opinion is that we get, is it more expensive to get them all? Like, I like the different ones.
Yeah, 75, the price is the
Doesn't
same. Basically, because you're getting 50 of them, it doesn't matter. Yeah, we can do all 5 of them.
You say 5 or 6?
Well, the one for Mr. Rogers, Rogers McFeely's one is fine.
And you don't have the ones with the banana split in there?
No, I don't, because they didn't like the picture,
Oh.
and so they want to do their own.
Okay.
You don't have the same format, it'll say, welcome to Latrobe, and then on the bottom is an split, but the center picture will be different.
It's time to shoot, he's got a sweater on. What did you ask for Mr. Rogers?
It won't have the one that we've ever used. I'm sorry.
He's time to shoot, he's got a sweater on. What more could you ask for Mr. Rogers?
Well, I don't think they dislike the picture, I just think that they're talking about buying it for us.
See, we capture everything. If we have the banana split, the railroad, the First Protein, Caramel Pickup, Mr. Rogers, Arnie Palmer.
I mean, you cover a wide variety with the pictures that are there.
But are we forgetting anything?
Where the home of the first airmail pickup? Really?
Yeah.
That was an interesting.
I think that's a start, Rosie. If we do forget something, maybe next round.
Good idea. Yeah,
Yeah.
good point, Jack. Yep.
So everybody's comfortable with the 5?
Yep.
Yes.
All right, good. We'll move on to that then. Are you from?
Mobility?
Yeah, Mobility?
Yes.
We've been approached by Mobility to, they want to put in some communication equipment on poles, and they need to put a new pole in. And the gentleman speak about it, so please back.
Yes, my name is Eric Sen. I'm a permitting manager with Mobility. Mobility is a utility company, we have a certificate of public convenience from the Public Utilities Commission in Harrisburg. We're building out a nationwide network of utility poles where there's a need in gaps in coverage. This helps with data coverage. And we're proposing to put in one new utility pole and then attach our equipment to two existing utility poles. One's a utility pole, one's a light pole. The one that's a light pole is right outside of this building, 901 Jefferson. There's another utility pole in the city, and then the new pole would be on William Drive. So I approached Ms. Powell and said, how can I learn about the permitting process to attach to these poles and install this new utility pole? Is there a permit that I need to fill, application that I need to fill out, maybe a street opening permit or a right-of-way permit? And we're proposing to put these utility poles in the city right-of-way. Industry studies have shown that our coverage is most needed in the right-of-way because that's where people are traveling, walking, working.
What do you, I mean, what do you do?
What does the technology do? Well, we're, like I said, we're utility companies. We're putting up the infrastructure, these utility poles, fill in gaps in coverage. That, our service of our infrastructure can be and is being marketed to multiple end users, our clients. Typical clients would involve cell phone companies, weather monitoring equipment companies, driverless vehicles that need connectivity to the internet wirelessly. So we're marketing to all of those potential clients.
The telephone pole that you're talking about, whose pole is it? Is it ours? Is it West Bend's? Is it?
It should be West Bend, I imagine.
I believe it's West
It's probably a
Penn.
utility
They
pole.
are West Bend, except for the new one, which.
Yeah, and the question on the new one was how, we were looking at, how tall is that new one?
The new one is,
Don't you need permission from West Penn?
Oh, yeah, you'd have to get permission for them to run.
right, I'm talking about permitting wise.
Right.
You know, the
Yeah.
West Penn agreement is in the works. We're nearing finalization of an agreement that allows us to go locate on their existing poles. The new pole, you asked about the height, proposed height of 75 feet at the top, and then another 4 feet because the antenna goes on top of that. So 75 to 79.
Typical utility pole is what, maybe 30 feet?
I don't know. I think they vary to some extent.
Is your coverage map included in these materials?
No, it's not. Right now, our design is being finalized and refined, so I don't have a final design map.
But
I can tell you that these three are the only three contemplated for Latrobe at this time.
Okay, and it's your representation that there are gaps in coverage in the city existing that these facilities would essentially cancel. That they were
Right.
covered.
Yes, I mean, it's a small cell technology that will fill in gaps in coverage that we've found and the industry has found. Need to be filled.
But you are stating that there are gaps in coverage.
Yes.
Okay.
And are you in any other nearby municipalities?
I cover this part of the state with one other coworker for our company, and we're actively approaching for permits multiple municipalities. I've approached, and we're in the beginning phase of that, where I'm gathering information. How can I get a permit to go in the right of way? That kind of thing. I've approached Hempfield Township. I've approached Ross Draper Township, Southwest Greensburg Borough. I don't want you to think that we're talking dozens or hundreds of poles. 3 here in Latrobe, 1 in Southwest Greensburg Borough. We're in the application process. It's not a build-out of dozens or hundreds.
Are you a relatively new company, or have you been around a long time?
Our company is 11 years old. This project, this deployment, is roughly a year old.
Now, when I was looking at the plans, especially for the new unit, the new unit appears to be located in a residential zone district. Now,
I'm not sure about that, but I'll take your word for it.
is that correct, Dan? One thing that you should be aware of is that, in particular with the residential zone districts, R1 single family, I don't know if that's where it is.
It's R1A, it's a hospital zone, but it's the same.
Okay. because within that zone district, then, it would appear that special exceptions, which is, so 166-16, sorry, I'm having trouble speaking today, subsection C2, public utility installations. So this is for special exceptions from the zoning, and it says public utility installations shall not include towers or antennas. So I'd just like to bring that to your attention, because if you wanted to build in that area, you would most certainly need a variance.
Okay, and that includes public utility poles, because I don't view it as a tower. I view it
It
as
certainly is an antenna.
Sorry,
It's certainly an antenna.
there's an antenna on the pole.
Right, and it says shall not include towers or antennas. So I would think that that would include,
The or is the part that works right there.
yeah.
So we need a variance or a
Right.
special exception.
Or you would, well, you couldn't get a special exception. It says public utility installations as a special exception shall not include towers or antennas. So
Gotcha.
we would either need to look in a different area. I know that towers and antennas are permitted in industrial areas. So you might want to, I don't know how that affects your coverage map because we haven't seen it, but
Or we could look at going on an existing pole, much like the other two.
Yeah,
correct.
that would be probably easier to go through,
Would
if
that-
that works for you.
Would that section allow attaching to an existing pole?
Depends on the zone district. And also would depend on the height, because I don't think that making an attachment to a utility pole envisioned an attachment almost tripling its height. So we need to be considerate of that as well.
Now, I'm assuming you meant you could go up 4 foot above the utility pole.
Right, if there's a 35-foot existing pole, it worked for us, and I'm not an engineer, so I don't know.
Right,
how to
understand.
discuss it with engineers. If there was a 35-foot pole or a 45-foot pole, whatever is there existing,
Right.
and it could support 4 more feet of the antenna, we could try that. I could take that to the engineers and have them review it.
Yeah, I would just, and I know that this would have to be council's decision or the zoning department, depending on the route that's taken. But I could envision, to help you along with your process, that there would be a considerable amount of resistance from an 80-foot pole in a residential zone district. Just, helping you out with moving
Is
forward.
that how tall this pole is gonna be, 80 feet?
The third one,
75 plus 4,
4 for the antenna?
sorry, I was rounding.
That's okay.
round down.
Yeah, and I think, if you're talking about in the same area, Zach, I can't imagine that just putting a 4-foot antenna on an existing pole wouldn't still violate the R1.
Right, and to be honest, I just learned this now, so I'm trying to give some sort of guidance to the applicants so that they can streamline their process. But, definitely, I don't think the code envisions this type of operation in a residential zone district.
That you do have a helicopter come
Oh,
across.
Well, that was something that Wayne and I were talking about, is we don't know the approach path for the hospital and its medevac.
It depends. I saw one, I saw him come in yesterday, and he came in different. He comes in one way and he's out different.
Yeah, because there was a problem once, some people complained about it coming the same way all the time.
First of all, it's lying down, but wind variances and all that just, disrupts what they can.
Because I saw it,
Wind,
last
weather.
night I saw it coming in from over my dad's house, like from the
Right.
fire hall. And and then I never used to see it that way, so I come the other way. But,
You left yesterday, right over the top, man. I figured so,
Yeah.
They have to play with weather.
right.
He would need to,
Right, again, I need to see the formal application where it needs to be, what sort of code variances they might need, or if the district permits it, with a special exception or a conditional use permit. But I think
Just to be clear, when you're talking about the Joanne Drive property, that's R1A, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you said a moment ago, formal application, that's what we attempted to provide. We drafted a template application. If there's a different application we should use, I'd be
Is
happy
that
to
what
have
this is?
complete. Yeah, that document there is an application that we drafted because we didn't know if you had one. We looked on the website, didn't know you had one.
do you have zoning request applications? Okay.
How do you determine where the, what do you call it, cell gaps are?
Well, they do a study.
Uh-huh.
Industry does propagation studies.
Yeah. And the propagation study indicates where the signal is strongest and weakest,
Okay.
and then they use those studies to try to fill the gaps.
I see.
And generally, when I've seen applications of this sort, that's part of their analysis and part of what they give to justify where they want to build the towers is the map. So that's why I was asking about the map in the beginning.
So it sounds like we need more information.
Yes, and can provide the application forms that we use so that we can streamline, our process as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to provide more information as long as I know what I need to provide. I have a list and a process, and we can attempt, to comply with that, and we can give a completed set of documents, but
I understand, you provided what you thought we would need, I understand.
Exactly.
And I would also suggest maybe looking at the zone districts and where the proposed towers are, and then looking at the zoning restrictions, in particular Chapter 166 of our code, and that provision there, and what you can do is match up the zone district on where you want to locate your tower with the restrictions and/or allowances in those particular zone districts. And that's Chapter 166, and that's available online.
Okay, I'll check that out. Does that chapter discuss public utility poles? Because like I said, we're
Yes.
a little different than
No, and that's what I
someone
was
coming in and wanting to put a cell tower. We're a utility that has a certificate from the public utility district.
I understand that.
Okay.
But yes, it does address public utility.
Okay. Where can I get,
Ian Powell is our code officer.
I'll follow up with Dan or Andy? Follow up
Being
with
quiet
Dan?
over there, but she can, if you get with Ann, she can.
And do you think,
No, I don't.
Want me to email you or call you, or you want to follow up with me in a couple
Do
days?
you want to wait a minute? Go through this, I can grab it downstairs.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
okay,
All right, moving on. We have, we're asking to, Mike wants another toy.
Mike wants what? Another toy?
Yeah.
Maybe two.
So we've got, he's good. Well, that's down the road. And he's got, we've got 3 bids for demos that the vendors have on site. And the best price right now is from U.S. Municipal, about $78,786. So essentially, what we would like to do is we're going to move the process forward and have the board approve the purchase. I already have financing in place that the board is comfortable with, and it was the same people that financed our.
I'm confused.
Pardon?
I'm confused because the A&H quote is less. Right?
Oh, I'm sorry, I was wrong. Yeah, the A&H is the one we got.
Okay,
Don't mind me, it's been a long day.
all right.
But yeah.
I'm not good at math, but I can tell the difference
I know, all
between
right.
those 2 numbers. What?
That's all right.
I know,
You're not the second guess, man, that's no
I'm
problem.
like, what? Okay.
Anyway, to your point, you're right, it was A&H, and essentially what we do is, we can piggyback and get the same, not piggyback physically, but we can get the same percentage from a bank that's gonna lend us the money for the street sweeper. We're getting the same interest rate for the truck, so.
And this is like deliverable,
You could have it yesterday.
yeah, okay.
That's why we're going with the demo. That way you can pull it right off the lot.
Mike, you've seen it?
Yes, yes. Between all the trucks, I've seen all the trucks with the demos, and they're all the same. They're all the same chassis. They're a 2016 Ford F550 chassis. If anything's different at each company, they make their beds or their bodies a little different, but they're all the same. They're all made out of aluminum. Cross members are the same, so it's just pretty much who has the better price.
Who gets to drive, who's driving?
I'm not sure.
Rotate.
Under this options section, is there any meaning behind the difference? One, the carbide cutting edge, one, the tailgate, or is that?
Yeah, actually, what happened on the U.S. Municipal truck, now they didn't include their carbide cutting edge with the price of their spreader. Now with A&H, they included that. And the reason why you see a cold door on the one from A&H is because it didn't have one from U.S. Municipal. So there was certain things that I wanted on the truck that you had to either put on, but still with upgrading to the tailgate with a cold door from A&H, it still was under what the price was compared to U.S. Municipal.
All right, so, 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 right, barn, I assume there's no concerns with us moving forward.
Nope.
All right. Next on the list is the Gibson Thomas invoice. Now, there's a story behind this. We were looking about a year ago to do cross-cut handicap ramping, and the bank, it's the corner of Jefferson and 981 Main, Jefferson, Maine. And at the time, Roger McFeely was going to take one corner, Vince Catrini was taking another corner, the bank was doing one, and we were going to do the third. As it turned out, that kind of fell apart, so people kind of backed out of it, and we had, Gibson Thomas had gone ahead, they probably shouldn't have, but they went ahead and they did the application for the curb cut. So we owe it to them, there was confusion, should they have gone ahead, not without verifying a little bit greater with me, but the point is they did the work, they're a vendor, and I've basically been sitting on it for a while. I think it's time for us to pay them.
And let me say that we had a meeting after this with Gibson Thomas, and made it pretty clear that this one aside, this was what sparked that one meeting we had with them. And I might have been even before you guys came on, I think. Because this goes back to September of last year. It was right after that, and we said, you know, unless at that time Joe or Wayne authorizes you to do something, we're not paying anymore.
That was right.
Yeah, so I think we have to pay this.
Do we have all the plans for this?
Yeah, the work is
Yeah.
done, I mean, the permitting process was moving forward there. It's just, and actually, to some degree, those plans may come in handy when they move forward with the traffic signals. So it may not be a waste of money, it's just the fact that it really wasn't something we were planning on doing right then. And like I said, it was, you know, whatever you want to.
I mean, it needs done.
Yeah, I mean, the work that they did won't go to waste, because we've done again, we use again. It's just the fact that it was a lot sooner than we needed.
Do you need a vote to pay this?
No, I'm just telling you.
Okay.
Because next time somebody says to me, is this in the budget?
Yeah, I got it.
That's the same thing goes with my next comment.
This was,
Or no, the one after this one, sorry.
one curb cut?
It was actually four.
Four, okay.
Yeah, it was four curb cutting and the permit.
That makes sense.
So we actually received the permit?
Yeah, hopefully it's good by the time we get to it, it's going to be expired. But we did receive all the documents.
So we have the design,
Yeah, we have all the
which is
documents.
probably most of the cost.
All right, now there's an update of chapter 85-5, sidewalk ownership responsibility. I don't know if you want to speak to it, or Ms. Ann wants to speak to it?
When we adopted our new property maintenance code, for some reason, this section 85-5, which is the section in our code book that gives the responsibility of the sidewalk area to the owner. Whether it's the planter strip, grass they have to cut, or they have to make sure the sidewalk's not a tripping hazard. For some reason, it was appealed in its entirety, which it should not have been. And I just found that out, so we need to bring it back.
Well, that'll have to be by way of ordinance, and because it affects land use, we'll probably have to, when there's a land use like this, there's a delay of time where you have to give it to the county planning department, and they have 30 days to review it before we address it, and we'll have to schedule a hearing on it, a public hearing right before we vote on it, so we can do that in say the August meeting. We can schedule it for like 15 minutes before the regular.
Yeah, we've done that before.
Yeah, and that's what I'm going to talk about in other item later anyway, so we can dovetail together.
Okay, and our next item is a $1,000 grant match. This is the Westmoreland Conservant Grant. I don't know if you recall, we got $18,000 for planters and for the various planters around town. Well, part of our match was a 20% match, which is about $3,000, approximately $3,500. 2,500 of it is work that we did installing the planters and various, you know, the work within the city by the employees. But I'm just letting you know that $1,000 of it is going to go as our match to buy some more Bradford pear trees. and that's the invoice that you have. Again, this is just an FYI, so that if anybody asks, because one of the grants, I mean, when you talk about, I know to some degree that the question of the budget keeps coming up, but the reality is we don't budget grants. We don't budget matching money. Because I don't know if we're going to get a grant during the budget, so we don't budget them. So if we spend money on budget for grant money, it really isn't budgeted. Because I don't want to, and I'm not going to put in the budget something I'm not sure of. So just so you know that, this $1,000 is technically not in the budget because the $18,000 grant money isn't in the budget.
So where do you put that in there, kind of like in like a miscellaneous
So as far as this
Yeah.
is coming out of capital.
capital?
I think council should be aware of that now.
Well, yeah,
Because we just had this argument last week, of getting grants that we didn't have money for.
No, that's fine. I mean, when we had the grant, it was made, the council was aware of, there's 20, I don't know how to answer.
Right, I know that, but I'm not aware of what you just said.
Well, there was an $18,000 grant last year, and we spent it all by December on planters. So we got a special price if we bought them before the end of the year. But part of that was a 20% match, which really mostly covered us installing. But there was $1,000 that we had set aside for some tree replacement.
So we got an $18,000 grant, and we had to come up with
32,
3,600.
36.
And we voted on that.
Yeah. I mean, you're all aware of that, the grant and the match, and I'm not big on,
I know, yeah.
you're gonna hear a lot more information than you wanna hear.
That's
So,
right.
that's just like the money from Gifts and Thomas. I could pay it, but I'm not gonna pay it until you're aware of it. All right, anyway, enough of that. All right, next on hit parade is, we have been approached by a gentleman, we're trying to get the tower, this is a communication tower, up by the cemetery. Try to get it taken down, like I said, I didn't include the invoice, I apologize. Yeah, I did, I'm sorry. We got some prices before and they're around $6,000. This gentleman's coming in, he'll take it down for 2. He's actually there taking down trees and some other things, so his equipment's there. So he's willing to take it down for 2, and it's only a liability to the city. I mean, if it would ever come down and hit a house, there's only a couple houses in that area, but if it comes down and hit something, it's just nothing but pure liability. It's an analog tower and everything is digital now, so it doesn't serve any purpose for a city. Nobody uses it.
Whose tower is it? It's our
In
tower.
fact, yeah, it's the city's tower. City's tower and little chain link fence, and then it's the edge of the cemetery. But all we're doing is insuring it, which is crazy. So the gentleman's willing to do it for $2,000, unless there's an objection. I'm going to see about if he is willing to take away the scrap, I might even be able to get it for cheaper. So, no one can know. I tried to take it off the insurance rules 2 years ago, but it was just too expensive now to take it down.
What do we pay for that insurance fee?
Oh, it's insurance by like $40, $50 a year. But, so, I mean, it'd take a long time to recover that, but.
Right. But if it falls down, yeah.
Yeah, it's a liability that, and it's something that's unnecessary, it's nice. All right. Next is the chapter 58 ordinance update.
We're buzzing along. Last Monday, council members BC and Martha met with myself and 3 interested members of the public who were beekeepers, one of which was a member of a local beekeeping organization. We went through the ordinance and essentially tried to make it a little more common sense, a little more attuned to their needs as beekeepers, while also maintaining the provisions that we needed as a municipality to ensure that we were comfortable with how the bees were being kept. So we updated that ordinance. I circulated it to council earlier today by email. The plan of action is to go through with the municipal planning code and get this approved, or get this to go by council or by the county this time. Thought it was kind of debatable whether we needed to follow through with that or not, but given the level of public interest, I thought, maybe we
Who do you
should.
deal with? Where does it go?
You submit it to the county, and they have a 30-day period to review or land use ordinances, essentially, and zoning. And whether or not they review it or not is a whole other thing, but they have the
When you say
opportunity.
you submit it to the county?
County planning.
Oh, okay.
County planning, they have 30 days, and we can just notice it for the same hearing that we'll have to do with the curb ordinance and address it in August and put it to bed.
And we decided to keep the chickens and the bees together?
Yeah, I think it's going to be, we can because they're similar, and also it's going to save on advertising costs and things of that nature.
I don't know if anyone noticed before I sent it to you today, we got a laurel in the trib for listening to our, residents and stopping before we do something with this ordinance. So,
Good.
kind of nice to see. We always listen to our residents. We try. If they come and talk to us.
That generated a lot of interest.
I was shocked. I had no, did any of you guys, you weren't here, but did any of you guys have any idea there were that many beekeepers in the town?
I had no idea.
It's amazing. Pretty cool.
All right, last on the list is that we've been asked, and I told you before about it, Dairy Township has asked us to go together with them on Wood Street and part of Wood Street and all of James Street. We're going to split the cost. It's about $46,000 and it'll cost about $23,000. So what they would like, they're being, for whatever reason, it's a little more formal. They have an intermunicipal agreement. A lot of times just did it with a handshake, but.
All right, Wood Street is half of it ours and half of it theirs. Is that the issue?
From
Yes.
James
Yes.
to
Josephine.
Is ours.
Just that one little section.
And then half of James Street's,
Yeah.
the top end.
At the top.
Yes. Basically, what they're doing is instead of paving half of their side and leaving our side unpaved,
Yeah.
reached an agreement where we paved the whole thing from Josephine to James and also the whole James Streets on the top ends. There is some additional work, replacing some pipes, culverts that need repairs and stuff like that, so it's
Who's doing the actual work?
Dairy Township. The milling is done by Ligonier Construction, but the actual township's going to be doing all the work. And we're going to assist with flagging and, small labor details and everything.
Mike actually, he got us a pretty good deal on that. We got it cheaper. Could have been hit at.
Well, I'm all about,
We had that conversation.
I'm all about collaboration and things like that. So I think that's great. That's working.
Well, it's a road that probably wouldn't have been done without cooperation.
Actually, our section is worse than their section.
They've probably done theirs before, huh? Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So, we need to sign the intergovernmental
Well,
agreement.
we need to, it's going to be an ordinance.
Yeah.
Yeah, under the act, you have to approve these by ordinance or else they're not enforceable.
And,
But once we,
they're not gonna do it till later, right?
well, I don't know when they're going to start.
They're going to, he's thinking July, sometime in July.
Because our meeting's July 11th. So.
Yeah, so it would probably be definitely after the 11th, I would assume.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that we may have to
Retroactive.
retroactively approve it, but,
Okay.
again, it's an opportunity to hate to pass up.
Okay.
Mike, were these streets on the original list of
Yes,
prioritized streets that we were getting done anyway?
yes, correct.
Yeah, we would have done it, but we were running out of money. So this worked out well. Because we didn't, now we're still going to be under budget in total, but we got a little more bang for the buck. We also have I talked before about the Hamilton Street. They haven't got back to me, the gas company wants to actually pay probably about 75 to 80% of it. So I haven't got the final dollar amount yet. So they're going to do the street, and really it's going to be, the cost will be next to nothing cost. Once I get the final numbers on that, I'll let you know.
Anyone have anything on their mind? I want to congratulate Chris on his recent marriage. Chris, congratulations.
Thank you.
And remind everybody that there's a big weekend coming up, the 4th of July. So everyone be careful. I wish Johnny Brazili was here to remind you that there are no fireworks. One of you guys, please, one of the firemen, want to
No fireworks.
No fireworks.
Don't get caught.
Oh.
You tell them no fireworks, they're still gonna do it. I do have some on their old kids.
Yeah. Sure.
Wayne, I know you've been in contact with Marty and stuff, and you know, it's like that. $975,000 for the grant money that was to be applied to the parking garage. Do we have any idea?
It's in the bank. We got it.
Do we know what's
yeah,
gonna
also,
be
yeah,
applied to?
We never agreed to apply it to that.
No, I would, because we've got so many capital issues, I would recommend, obviously, it's all I can do, that we hang on to that and use that for some capital expenditures. We're getting a better bond rate. We're gonna save money on the bonds anyway. We'll save about actually, there's a little bit of news on it, wait, we have gone from an A rating to a double A rating, which is an improvement. And because of that, we're probably gonna get a better interest. So,
And the other thing was, there's a penalty if you pay those things off early.
well, the thing about it is, it's really, first looking, you're borrowing at about 2.6.
Right.
So, I mean, it's so cheap to borrow that, you know, that money could be used as collateral for, because Zach was listening to my air conditioning system, which is, you know, inside the building here. We've got an air handler that's gonna die eventually. We've got, Mike's got more toys that he needs, you know, that kind of stuff. He's got the compactor.
They're not toys.
I'm sorry. Only because I'm picking on Mike.
I know.
The compactor is an issue. You know, there's a number of, we're driving, one new truck, we've still got 1995 vehicles. I mean, there's a lot of.
I mean, I
things to
think
look at
the
right now.
idea was that as long as we can continue to make that payment with such a low interest rate,
Right.
it would probably be better. I mean, we never really made that commitment that we were gonna, that money was gonna have to go towards that bond money.
And like I said, from a financial point of view, you can get it for 2.6, 2.5.
Because we never knew if we were gonna get it. We didn't know if we were gonna get the RCAP money
Right.
in the first place, so we had to pay for it anyway. But,
But at the same time, Rosie, we gotta watch that money too. We need to get-
oh, absolutely,
Buy.
absolutely.
No,
But I mean,
I'm not
you know,
suggesting you do that.
I mean, these are the issues, you know, we all agree we need, a new, truck for the winter,
Right.
okay? I mean, none of these things are, nothing will be spent without everybody knowing about it. I mean, we gotta find the money somewhere, so,
And it's still, we're still going to go through the lease to purchase, where it's spread the cost over 5 years.
Right.
I mean, eventually, what I'd like to do, some point of that time, is to do a capital plan. To put in front of you all a 5-year capital plan. Kind of shows you, believe me, I've run some preliminary numbers, that $1 million could be spent quickly on capital. I mean, just on things you need. That's not my suggestion. My suggestion is to spread that cost over a number of years. But then use that as your backup to help pay for the capital that you're purchasing. And also, you know, using interest to help.
and we're not heavily leveraged, that one.
No, believe me.
Even with that debt, I mean, we're not heavily leveraged.
No, I mean, again, the letter I got this morning was complimenting the city, which is, you know, I kind of got it back with. But they were talking about how.
Well, you should.
No,
Because you're good at that.
but the budget, they talked about how, based on the financial information that they looked at and the way the budget has been for the last couple of years, they said that they are so comfortable with our fiscal responsibility that they gave us a AA rating. But believe me, to get from an A to a AA is difficult. You know, when I was with Ross Township, we did our bonds, and it was a $15 million township. We couldn't get it from an A to a AA. It's because of the way you all do financial spending that we're able to do that.
I'm not saying that down the road we won't take a big chunk of that money and pay the bond down, but there is a penalty.
Yeah, I wouldn't pay the bond. I would suggest you, if you're gonna use it, there's other capital expenditures to use it.
Well, I agree with you, but I think
I mean,
it's
there's
better
no real
spent.
advantage, at that interest rate, there's no real advantage.
Right.
I mean, there's gonna be a point in time, this bond, it didn't lengthen the bond, but the bond still go on for so many years. There's gonna be a point in time where it'll be cheaper to put that money in a bank and get better interest rates
Right.
than what you're paying. Right now, the interest rates are ridiculous, but that's gonna change over time. Right
But
now,
we're fixed at this low percentage.
oh, we're fixed
I
at
mean,
2.6.
So, it's,
And like I said, it may go down lower because of the change from A to double A, so. And right now, we're saving over what it was, the bonds were, we're saving $140,000. I think I'll do my, forget it off the top of my head now, but we're saving a significant, it's a little higher than that,
it
but
was higher now.
yeah, it's like 200,000, something like that. Whatever it was, I had to pull the numbers up, but we're saving over just by refinancing. So,
We're not lengthening the term,
no,
and we're saving money.
But I'm looking at here in the point, in 8 years, 7 to 8 years, we're gonna start maintenance on that parking garage. Guaranteed. So we need to get out of that as much as we can, of what we
Well,
owe.
expecting that
Because we're gonna
year-
be borrowing money to do maintenance on that.
I know,
guarantee it.
the other thing I would suggest is that, again, I'm a fiscal conservative, if you hang on to the money you have, and at that
Right.
point in time, if you've got, $750,000 still sitting in the bank, you can refinance your bonds,
Refinance,
spread it out,
I got you.
or you can look at a whole bunch of, if you got the money in the bank, the
You
banks
got a
love
lot
you.
more leverage.
The banks love you when you have money in the bank.
Right. Yeah, who inspects that building? Gibson Thomas, yearly or every other year, or?
I'm not sure what I know.
'Cause I know there
we
was-
maintain
Does that have to
it.
be done here?
Yeah, I also think there were some minimal things we had to do, surface stuff that we had to do, I thought.
They hose it down and they do some maintenance on it. I mean, we do it because obviously the parking authority doesn't do it, the city does. But I'm not sure as far as.
Our permits
I don't
come in and
think
do
it's
it
been
every
inspected.
year.
Yet, I think it was 3 years, it was to be inspected by an engineer, which is coming up on that.
I mean, my understanding was it had a 25-year life. That was.
They guaranteed their work for 10 years.
There were, I know.
For a while.
But what I'm saying though is if you fix things before they become catastrophic, and we let that thing go
Right,
without putting
right.
any money into it.
Like I said, we
think
don't
so.
25-year
even
life
salt
with
in there or
routine
cloud.
maintenance.
Right. So we probably should get some kind of a schedule, Wayne, where it's inspected every other year by GT, and we're gonna pay for that, but.
Yeah, we can. I agree with the maintenance part. I mean, I know they closed the garage, the third upper level because, for one thing, it doesn't keep the salt off of it and, it's not really used that much in the winter anyway. So, I know they've done things to help maintain it to get it forward. But yeah, well, again, and I think part of the issue is with the parking committee, we might want to look at that a little bit more because I'm not sure how active the parking authority has been.
Right.
I mean, they're.
Right, oh, yeah, I agree with you on that one. I'm just trying to look out here for our future here
Yeah.
with this money and stuff that, there's grant money for the parking garage or whatnot.
Well, like I said,
Or that we never appropriated, but that was the
Yeah,
intention
right.
of it to help pay off the debt.
Yeah, well, I don't know if I agree with that, but okay. But anyways, the other thing was, we need to look at how, I've had people approach me asking for there to be more 2-hour meters in that garage and not all 8-hour meters or more 8-hour, I don't know. There's a
Yeah.
lot of reserve parking in there and, I mean, it's kind of screwy. I think there's 2-hour meters in there and people were asking if we could have longer meters in there because there's people that work and every 2 hours they have to go plug the meter, and if there was an 8-hour meter there, and I can never understand why it's just put, other than on the street, why you wouldn't put 8-hour meters in there, because if you only want to be in there for 2 hours, you only put enough money in there for 2 hours. But if you're going to be there all 8, then,
Yeah, I think the 2-hour meters are more for along the business district. They help encourage.
but they're in the
people-
garage.
No, I'm saying, but along
Yeah.
the business, you understand, because you want them to move along, not tied up all day. But yeah, you mentioned it, I was kind of waiting until we got the parking committee kind of put together.
Yeah,
Which
because
I think
I've
is
had
my
some
fault,
people
though.
like
Oh, yeah.
that work along Spring Street
We talked, Wayne.
ask me about that, because they said, it just would be nice to have the longer meters in there.
Yeah, I don't know why you want a 2-hour meter necessarily, unless you're really close to the, maybe not even close to the doctor's, the offices along there or something, I don't know.
But if you have an 8-hour meter and you only want to be there for 2 hours,
Then you put 2 hours of work,
I
yeah.
mean, I don't know, it just doesn't, but anyway, whatever.
Well, I need to get moving on getting you all together for a meeting, so.
Yes, you do.
Just I'll
I've
answer
been
that
trying,
last.
I've been trying, I just,
I know,
Well,
believe me, I know how hard it is.
We seem to have
Lots
plenty of
going on.
meetings.
yeah.
But we'll talk about that on Tuesday,
All right, sorry. Thank you.
tomorrow after 4:30.
What's tomorrow?
The parking authority.
Oh. Anything else, gentlemen? All right. Have a happy 4th, everybody. Happy and safe 4th. See you on the 11th.